Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today I just wanted to make a really kind of hopefully shorter and quick video just talking about optic height on an AK because recently I watched a video that GBRS group put out talking about optic mount heights specifically on ARs, but it reminded me, so they had a lot of good points in that, but it reminded me of a comment I got when I made the video reviewing this B33 Seneco receiver cover mentioning that chin weld isn't an issue because basically back then I don't have it on here right now, but my LPVO, I used to have that on here that I just directly pulled off of my AR, and that is on a 1.5-inch mount. And I was mentioning in that video that it's really uncomfortable to shoot with it because I'm crazy just up. And back then I also had the regular stock. Nowadays I could have just fixed it by pulling up this cheek riser on the Seneco PT3. But yeah, back then I just had the regular one, so that wasn't an option. But I just kind of wanted to address why. So I do think there's a lot of merit to what they said in that video. You do want kind of a higher uh, optic mount when you're doing more closer quarter stuff. When I had the LPVO, I was doing longer range stuff also. So, but at any rate, yeah, this is all going to boil down to the height that the rail is over the stock compared to on an AR. That's literally this whole video just going to go into that in a fair bit of detail. So what you need to consider on an AK is that even if you are doing closer work or even if you just like higher mounts, that's not as good for longer range. Then you do need more cheek weld. But, just focusing on the closer range stuff for now, just so I don't get too far off into the weeds. If you put that high of an optic onto, or that high of a mount onto an AK versus on an AR, like this is the same 1.5-inch mount that I was mentioning earlier. It's a lot more comfortable on this because the height of the rail, or where it sits, is very close to where your stock sits. So let me actually get out my digital calipers and I'm going to actually take a few measurements. They aren't going to be super precise, especially on the AR here. It's a bit hard to get an exact measurement, but approximately, and that's all that really matters. Because pretty much on an AK, I would say this is kind of obvious, but I did get comments contrary to this, so maybe it's not so obvious, but, you know, because the rail is higher on an AK above the stock, it's like you pretty much have extra space from or it's like you pretty much inherently have a higher mount just because, it's going to be higher above the stock. So yeah, I am going to be measuring from the stock. I know it's a bit of a weird measurement, not height over bore. Let's just get this approximate. So I just tried to measure this off camera because it's a little hard to do it on camera, but I'm just measuring right about here because that's approximately, if I draw a straight line from where the stock is, sits right about there. And yeah, it's about 12 or 13 millimeters. So I'll just say whatever, 12.5. Just go right in the middle. Now comparing that to the AK, and I'm just going to be using this to kind of draw the straight line out. I know this is a fixed wood stock. It wouldn't even fit on here, but I'm using this wood one because it's easier to see on camera versus a whole bunch of black everywhere. So right about there, and then I'll just approximate, again, just very approximate. I'll just say that this is where the stock comes to. And I'm not really referencing the PT3 where it comes up because it does have the cheek riser. I don't think it'll make much of a difference in the measurement. All right, so here on the AK, I'm going to go ahead and just measure down to one of the, what would you call it, the flat in the Picatinny rail. I don't know all the technical terms, but yeah, we've got 39 millimeters approximately, and this will change depending on what type of mount you have, whether you're using a side mount or you're using a Zeneco B33 or a TWS dogleg. They'll all be slightly different. Some will be way higher, others will be way lower. I think the B33 that I have here is kind of a little bit on the higher side, but as far as railed receiver covers, it's pretty regular. So if I remember right, I said that the AR was 12.5 millimeters above, and then this was 39, so 26.5 millimeter difference. That is approximately almost exactly 1 inch difference. So, if you add that on, the 1 inch difference plus a 1.5 inch scope mount, it's pretty much like you have a 2.5 inch mount. So that's really, really tall. Um, I guess some of you would maybe say that that's fine. A 2.5 inches is acceptable. I don't really like them that high. But yeah, I mean, you do you. I'm not recommending one way or the other. So I just kind of wanted to make this as like, hey, keep this in mind sort of video. So yeah, that is it. That felt really long-winded, but I did get comments about it, so I did want to just kind of mention that. But all right, yeah, that feels pretty straightforward. Hopefully that wasn't too much of like an over explanation, but let me know if any of you still have any questions or whatever. Otherwise, thank you all for watching. See you.